Hi everybody, very welcome to yet another live stream here on the Mentour Pilot channel. As always, I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic and I hope that you've had a great Christmas and that you're preparing for an absolutely excellent 2019. I sure am. So for those of you who've been here on my live streams before, you know that if you really have a question that you want me to answer, well then you use the super chat, okay? The super chat you have there below you in your chat screen here on YouTube. It will send me a message especially in a specific color and I will promise to answer all of those questions. Otherwise, you can use the normal chat as well. I will try to take a few excerpts from that. But if you don't, you can always use the Mentour Aviation app. As you can see it here, it is. I hope that you've all downloaded. There is some really awesome stuff coming up in the app very soon. All right. I've just done a major investment. There we go. I just done a major investment into the app. There's going to come an update. It's going to come. I'm not sure exactly how long it will take because it is a huge update. Okay, but I am hoping that that you guys will really like it. All right, it's my way of trying to make it into that hub of aviation that that I've always envisioned. All right, the place that you can go. Any one of you who are interested in aviation, and I'm betting quite a few of you are, can go in there and let's see, just make sure that this is not. Oh, there we go. Can go in there and you can find news and you can talk to people and in a good way. Right, so that's what's going to happen. By the way, before I continue with the actual live stream here, I just want to tell you that that I've done a New Year's sale inside of the app. So if you want to see, for example, how we do engine failures or a setup of the 737 or TCAS maneuvers or Cat 3 approaches in fog or stuff like that, you can go in and it's reduced prices until the 1st of the 1st. The way that you use the app, guys, that you go in and you buy one of the collections. And when you bought the collection, you can look at it in 360. All right, you can swipe around or you can move the phone around like this, or you can, if you have a set of 360 glasses, those Google headsets, then you can sit inside of the app together with me, and it's just like sitting on the jump seat. It's very cool. And like I said, there's a sale on right now. It's half price on the whole collection. If you buy all in one, you'll get all of it for less than €5, which is a great price. So today, guys, we're going to talk about drones, right? I did a video on the drones. It's gotten quite a lot of attention, a lot of questions. So I thought, I might as well talk a little bit more about them, my views on them, and some of the things that weren't really clear in my video. But before I start with doing that, is there anyone who has any questions right now? Anything that you thought when you watched the video that this is not completely clear? In that case, just post that question now. Let's see if there's anything coming in here in the Mentour Aviation app. First of all, I'm just gonna go back to the chat. I suspect low-cost programmable drones as swarm be used for some terrorist attack. Yeah, there are some quite terrible videos on YouTube regarding drones that's swarming with small charges on them, like explosives. That is quite terrifying. I don't recommend you to look for that on YouTube unless you want to have a really big problem sleeping tonight. Okay, so there's nothing coming up yet. So what I'll do is I'll just take some of the things that come up. So there's loads of conspiracy theories, which always seems to happen whenever something like this happens. People are saying everything from that this is a government hoax to that this was actually UFOs that came in and for some reason wanted to disrupt air traffic in Gatwick just before Christmas. Be a very interesting and fairly ineffective way for aliens to invade, I would say personally. But whenever I see things like that, conspiracy theorists, they seem to love these kind of things. What I want to point out is that even like let's say that the some of the conspiracy theorists are right and there was no drone, that there was actually just false sightings. It doesn't really matter, okay? If there is a risk, if there's simultaneously a lot of people that is calling into the tower, calling into our traffic control saying listen, we have seen drones, or what we think are drones, close to the airport. The air traffic control will always do what they did in Gatwick. They will take what is safe before being sorry. They will close down operation, they will divert flights to other airports, and they will investigate. So even let's say that this was a hoax, that several people called in just as a hoax. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same anyway. Air traffic control will close it down, and this is not the first time this has happened. People, the conspiracy theorists, they're kind of like, oh yeah, look at this, this almost never happened. I'm sure this is some kind of government cover-up. Well, back in 2017, Gatwick was also closed down for several hours due to drones on final. So it's not the first time that this has happened. It is not the first time that they have reacted this way. It's just the fact that it was continuous for a very long time in what looks like a coordinated attack. Probably either by someone who just wanted to play a really, really long, dangerous and expensive prank, or it could be by environmental groups who wanted to show some kind of statement. But if that was the case, then it's strange that they haven't actually gone out and publicly said that this was us, we wanted to show this for the environment. Or, you know, if it was a terrorist group, then it's also unclear what exactly they wanted to try to achieve with it, and no one has claimed responsibility. So, you know, we will probably, you know, at some point we will know what happened. But the point I want to make here, the most important thing, is the way that air traffic control works when something like this happened, which is we take the safe road, always, all right? We will shut the the airport down. The aircraft will divert, they will fly somewhere else where we know that it's safe. Other questions that's come up regarding drones is, what about birds? You know, there are loads of birds, they have the same kind of weight, and, you know, they're around, you can't control them. They don't shut down airports because of birds. But there is, you know, quite a few differences here, and I discussed some of them in my video that I released on Friday. Birds tend to make less damage, even though they can make a lot of damage, especially if there's a flock of birds that flies into one engine. That can actually cause the engine to seize. But birds in itself tend to kind of almost explode when they impact. There are loads of feathers and blood and gore, but it doesn't penetrate. It doesn't go in and damage the structure. And then some other people have pointed out that birds have very little batteries inside of them. And of course, the batteries that are being used in the drones today, if they are bent or damaged in some way, they could actually ignite and self-ignite. And if that happens close to a fuel cell, that is not great either. And on top of that, birds try to fly away when an aircraft comes. They want to get out of the way, while for example, a drone flown in onto final might, if it's controlled by a terrorist group, might actually be there to try to fly into an aircraft. So it's a completely different set of circumstances, a completely different risk assessment. If you have birds, we can scare them away. If you have drones, they're there on purpose, and it's not a good thing. So Marcus de Hayek comes up with the first question here. And what size of drone come under regulation in the UK? I would lie if I said that I knew exactly what the rules are. I'm sure that some people in here knows that better than me. But in any case, you can just do a quick Google search on that. I think this varies. You know, some countries have very high weight regulations as to when you need to have a certificate. Some other countries have it that you need a certificate in order to operate any kind of drone, even a toy drone inside. So there's no way for me to tell exactly what it is, but I would just recommend you to go in, Google the drone regulations, and I'm thinking that around a kilo or so, that's where they tend to come in under some more restrictive regulations. So what can we do then? Well, most commercial drones that are being sold, at least the more high-tech ones that are GPS controlled, they tend to have airspaces built into their data set, so that they will shut themselves down and, you know, basically stop flying if they get close to a warning area around an airport. And I think that is like 5 kilometers away. 1 kilometer is the rule in the UK. 5 kilometers, I think, is the buffer zone that the drones are using themselves. But of course, if people are building their own drones, there's not going to be anything like that in there. So I know that there are countries out there who are training falcons and training like bald eagles to actually fly, intercept, and take down the drones. I'm guessing that we will probably see other types of enforcements to try to shoot them down. But like the police in Gatwick did not want to shoot against the drones because they were afraid of what a stray bullet could do. You know, if you shoot a bullet, you miss and you shoot it in towards central London, you never know where it might end up. So that wasn't really an option. Right, that's what I had on drones, guys. If you have more questions about drones or anything like that, just send them in. I'll be happy to try to answer them, but try to keep it to, you know, how we pilots would you know, what we think about drones, because I don't operate a drone myself. I don't really have much knowledge about either to operate them nor the rules. I know that there are rules that are on the way. In the United States, they're quite far ahead with creating basically a specific type of airspace that drones are allowed to operate in, providing that they follow certain rules. And this is likely to be made for the likes of Amazon, that is going to start using drones for delivering packages and things like that. In that case, it needs to be a good kind of rule structure and airspace in force before that starts happening in a large volume. Right, more questions. Are there any restrictions of drone in India? I do believe so, yeah. Once again, the rules, they differ between different countries. Who here doesn't have a drone? Me. Right, let's take some normal questions then. If you don't have anything more about drones, that was just, you know, I tend to use a topic for these live streams just to have some kind of structure. But if that's not the case, you know, if people don't really care, then just shoot with your normal aviation questions. See, there was a few good ones inside of the Mentour Aviation app here. Yeah, people are saying that they never captured a picture or video about the drone. That is strange, I have to admit. Normally, with, you know, in this day and age, everyone has a mobile phone and everyone has a camera on it. I think I saw a video that someone had captured of a drone, but I'm not sure that that was actually in Gatwick or if it was fake. So it is weird. I do agree that there should be some kind of video proof of them. Did you get affected by the Gatwick incident? No, I was happily not flying. I've been off over Christmas. I've been up in Sweden with my family, and I was off just the day before. I basically stopped flying the day before, and we don't, you know, where from my base I don't fly into Gatwick anyway. But of course I could have been affected. My colleagues probably got affected by the delays that happened when, you know, when everyone had to divert out of Gatwick. They would then start clogging up the apron on both Luton and Stansted and Heathrow, of course, and that can have knock-on effects on other operators, even people who are not flying into Gatwick. Is there any way to fit something like a transponder to a drone? Yeah, of course there are ways to do that, but unfortunately it's not very practical, because transponders use battery, so they're going to limit the use of the drone, and air traffic control will assign transponder codes, specific transponder codes to every aircraft flying around. So I guess there could be a generic kind of code. But then again, anyone who was law-abiding and who was, you know, making sure that this is happening is not going to be flying close. It's only going to be the ones who doesn't want to follow the rules that will be flying close to the airport. And of course, they will just turn off that transponder, disable it. So there is it's actually better to make sure that every drone that is being sold is being marked up with a specific number, and that is being connected to the person who drives it. Because if then a drone, for example, will fly in somewhere where it's not allowed to be, it will be shot down or it will be taken down, or at least you could trace back to who is responsible, and that one would face some serious consequences. Because the consequences of disruption, the kind of disruption that they did in Gatwick, if they find out who that is, it's going to be tens of thousands of pounds in fines and up to 5 years imprisonment. This is similar to what happens to people that are using laser pointers. If you stand on final, or close to final, and you point a laser towards an aircraft, that is considered endangering the safety of an aircraft, and it's also prison sentence, and people have been going to prison for that. So I don't think that people understand how serious an offense it is to be, you know, disrupting air traffic control and disrupting air traffic in the way that it was done. But hopefully the positive thing that might come out of this is that people will understand that. Right, how would existing drones and self-made devices be regulated on your suggested system? Well, it wouldn't be. Basically, it would be just like with cars, you know. You could build your own car and drive it around as well, but when the police takes you, you're going to be fined in the same way. So there's the problem here is going to be enforcement. You know, the police who are going to have to enforce this could potentially, you know, check drones that are being flown. If they see a drone, they could follow it. They could, or they could even take it down if they see that it's not of a normal model and it doesn't have. I mean, I don't have the answer to this. I haven't spent much time thinking about it either. But one thing is for sure, and that is if you're driving a drone that has the potential to fly as high, as far as these drones are, and potentially disrupt traffic control, you have to be held responsible. There's no question about that. And now being able, I can go down to you know, an electronics store here in Girona and buy myself one of these drones. No one will ask who I am, no one will ask what I'm going to use it for, and I could sit and fly it up and down on the final of the approach in Girona, and if it got shut down or if it flew into an aircraft, no one would know who it belonged to, right? So that is a problem. That has to be regulated in one way or another. And unfortunately, all of the law-abiding people who bought drones, who are not intending to do anything malicious with them, they're of course going to be affected by this. This always happens. There's always one idiot that destroys everything for everyone else. You know, you see this continuously as well in part of the pilot structure. Whenever there are new rules being implemented, SOPs or rules for how we have to, you know, behave in the airport, you can always see that there's someone who's done something incredibly irresponsible or stupid, and because of that, now everyone needs to follow these new, more strict rules that might, you know, inhibit on the freedom of movement, so to say, of the others. This is always what happens. You know, you can give the most precious, the most fantastic technological gift to the population, and you will always find a few people who manage to use it in a malicious way that then becomes you know, a reason to outrule it. Say, no, this is not allowed anymore. No, we can't use this. A good example is these, you know, these electrical motorcycles or the electrical like kickboards that you can have. They are being outruled in Spain. In some cities you're not allowed to use them anymore because people are using them like morons. They're driving into traffic, they're trimming them to go extra fast, and people have been dying in accidents because of that. And then, you know, the quickest and easiest way to deal with that for authorities is to say, we don't allow them anymore. So all of these people who were using them in a good, safe and common sense way, they're now not allowed to use them anymore. And this is exactly what is likely to happen to the drone community as well. And I'm guessing a few more incidents like this, maybe another you know, drone crashes into an aircraft, and you will start seeing them being either forbidden completely unless you have a license to use them. That's the kind of the nuclear way of doing it, to say that no drones can fly at all unless you can show that you are that you have a reason for using them. That's one way of doing it. The other way is, like I was saying, to start to implement like they do in the States, for example, where you apply to the FAA and you pay $5, and then you get your own little license number that you put onto your drone, and you are then responsible for that drone, and it's valid for 3 years, I believe. So something like that is likely to happen soon, but then who knows, you know. Should have auto exclusion zones pre-installed in the drones? Yeah, I mean, that would be something that I think for the self-preservation of the drone manufacturers, they should have already done that always, so that the drones cannot fly even close to an airport. But once again, it's not going to stop people who build their own drones to do those kind of things. So, Nay and Mai, make a video about dark to landing. Well, I've done that. Inside of the Mentour Aviation app, there is a... well, I haven't done it to landing yet, alright? I've done a 360 video from how we set it up. We start when it's dark and cold, and then I go through every single switch that we need, including how to, you know, set up the performance, how to do the briefings, all of that I do, and I tell you inside of the video how, you know, we think. And I've gone all the way up until we start taxiing, but after that I haven't done it. But there will be For those of you who have the Mentour Aviation app, once the update is complete, there's going to be new videos being produced, and a flight from A to B, including all of the briefings and everything to think about, is part of it. It's probably not, or it will not be in 360. It's going to be in a wide angle setting, because it's much better, much higher quality, much sharper than. It takes up less room as well. So I'm just telling you that if you haven't downloaded the app already, you should definitely do it, because there are some really seriously cool stuff coming up. Sam Petros, can you make a video about your Porsche? I did a video when I bought the Porsche. We did a video and I put it up. It got a lot of dislikes, right? People did not like that I did that, okay? So what I'm thinking about doing, because I love this YouTube, the format of YouTube, is that I might create a separate channel with other content, stuff like, for example, cars, Porsches, things like that. I have some good ideas about what I would like to do, but I would like to keep this completely aviation related. This and the Mentour Aviation app is going to be related to aviation one way or another. You know, we might start doing some more fun stuff as well. I might start going to flight schools and do, you know, lessons in there and have them teach me things and stuff, or interview and talk to other YouTubers. That's also something I want to do, but that's going to still be here on the channel. And everything else that is not aviation related, I'm going to have to put into a separate account. Random question: Rolls-Royce or General Electric engine? Well, I like the CFM56 that we're flying. We are going to get on the 737 MAX now. I haven't seen I think you might gonna have to help me here, because I haven't done the technical course on it yet. But there are new engines that are a little bit difficult, from what I've heard. They take more time to warm up, and they've had some problems. Remember that? Well, you've heard. I hope you've heard about the Norwegian 737 MAX that had engine problems and had to land in Iran a few weeks back, and now they can't get it out because it's illegal to ship stuff into Iran. It breaks the US embargo towards Iran, so they're having some real problems to get that out. But that was due to an engine problem on one of these new engines. So I haven't decided if I like them or not. We'll see when we start using them. Do pilots still suffer with laser pointers? Yeah, it happens quite often. I haven't had a laser attack in a few years now, actually, so that might indicate that it's gotten better. But I have been attacked. Most pilots who've been flying have been shown with laser pointers, and I think there's a lot of kids out there who think that this is a cool thing to do. You know, they have gotten a laser pointer and they want to look at something, and of course they have a blinking light. They've tried to fix that. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Here in Spain, I think the fine for shooting a laser at an aircraft is about 60,000 euros. So you can either choose to use your 60,000 euros to get a full aviation training, or to shine a laser at an aircraft. Up to you to choose. So, you know, governments are taking this very seriously, and I think that through press coverage, the fact that it's been out in the press, people know about this now. Or at least they should do, and they shouldn't even buy. You know, parents shouldn't buy any pointers to their kids, basically. So, Stefan Victor in the super chat: can school diploma vote on recruitment in an airline have any influence? I would say yes and no. Right, there are some sponsorship programs that you might apply to, and if you don't have any previous experience, it's likely that they're going to use whatever experience that you have. So, for example, when I got into the government sponsored program in Sweden, they looked at my grades. That was the first thing that they did in order to cut down the amount of people who had applied. So only the people with the highest possible grades were invited to the interview, and that could happen if you have a sponsored program from zero. Once you're in the industry, once you have training, it's unlikely that they're going to look much at your school certificates. They might look at things like if you have a degree, a university degree. Some airlines do require you to have a university degree before you apply, and in that case, of course, they're going to look at it. The grades, I don't think necessarily is going to be that important, but the grades are important for a different reason. All right, the grades are important because you need to have the knowledge that that grade represents. Aviation covers almost all of the subjects that you do in school. Everything from how to interact with other people, to how to understand physics, how to understand meteorology, how to understand chemistry, fuel, to mathematics, to almost you will be able to find something inside of the ATPL subjects that will touch on every single subject that you've done. And of course, gymnastics will be there as part of the, just regular fitness. So you have to understand that you're not in school to try to get good grades. You're in school to try to get good knowledge that you can use when you are applying for your aviation job, or your flight school, or becoming an engineer, or becoming whatever you're thinking about. That's why you're in school. All right. So good grades will represent A, that you have acquired a lot of knowledge, B, that you are a person that can be taken seriously. Someone who knows when to kind of grind their foot in and work towards a target and a goal. By the way, talking about goals, I hope that you have checked out, let's see, there, mentorpilot.com. I just did a new blog. I wrote a new blog on there about setting goals and the importance of keeping goals and the importance of kind of taking a huge goal like becoming a pilot and then chopping it up into smaller pieces and dealing with those ones in order to achieve that high goal. So go into mentorpilot.com, check that out, and also tell me what else you would like to see on the website, because we're filling it up with stuff right now. Cool, so that was the last question on the Super Chat. Let's see a little bit on the Mentor Aviation app here. By the way, I'm going to start, soon, to do live streams exclusively inside of the Mentor Aviation app as well. So I will continue to do the eventual live stream here on YouTube for everyone, but since I know that most of you who are watching this right now, you've got the recommendation to go in here from the Mentor Aviation app. That's why you know that I'm doing live stream much earlier than normal. Well, then I will be able to start doing live streams directly to the app as well, which is cool, because that means I'm not going to be clogging the channel with a lot of content that only you, the ones who are most interested in aviation, my most kind of devoted followers, well, you'll be able to follow me inside of the app. And the app is free to download, so there's nothing to it. I just want to start to kind of, compartmentalize a little bit. So, Sam, the Ryanair guy. Cool name. Mentor, hello. Can you please tell me what Cat 2 and Cat 3 conditions are in terms of visibility and cloud? Yeah, I can. Now, if you want to see how we fly a Cat 3 approach or a Cat 2 approach, how we utilize the autopilots and what callouts there are and what altitudes and stuff. Once again, there's a collection inside of the Mentor Aviation app. Just go into the app, buy that collection, and if you buy the whole thing, then you'll get all of them at once. But Cat 2 will allow you to go down to 300 meters visibility and 100 feet decision height. Cat 3 is going to allow you to go down to 200 meters visibility and 50 feet. And then there is Cat 3, I think the higher versions of Cat 3, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on, that will allow you to actually go down to 0 visibility if you're flying an aircraft that have rollout capability, as in that not only can land the aircraft like the 737, it can land it, but it can't maintain the descent line after landing. Well, some aircraft can do that, and if they have that, they might be certified for higher Cat 3, which can then get you down to 0 visibility, which is very cool and scary, because you don't see, I can tell you, if you can't land from a Cat 3 approach, a normal Cat 3 approach, it is really foggy, all right? And it's the scary thing is not going to be the landing. The scary thing is going to be the taxiing afterwards, because when the fog is that bad, you only see a few lights ahead of you. It's like trying to taxi the aircraft inside of a bowl of porridge. All right? It's very, and that's where the most of the damages to aircraft occur as well. It's not during the landing or during the takeoff in Cat 3. It's when we're taxiing. It's ground collisions, taxiing into steps that someone forgotten, or another aircraft that might be standing a little bit away from the holding point, a little bit further out from the holding point than it should. It's very, very hard to see. So people don't realize that, but that is actually the case. Right, so see some questions here in the chat then. So, sir, can you please tell me what was your first salary? My first salary. Yeah, I think I was on a junior first officer training contract. So I think my first salary was about, I think it was about £1,000 plus sector pay, which was about another 800, because I think I was on half sector pay in the beginning. So let's say that I had about £1,800 net on my first salary. I was 20 years old then, and then that got up to £3,000 fairly quickly, because we only had half salary for a few months when you were still in training and junior first officer. But that has all changed, okay? But that was like kind of, I think junior first officer, especially if you go in on a commuter contract, around 1,800 euros to 2,000 euros, maybe up to 3,000 euros, but then that will start climbing fairly quickly. Cool. Right, so let's see if there's any more questions here. Right, we have a super chat question. How bad is Southend to fly from? I heard bad things. I haven't flown to or from Southend myself. I've done the training though. My airline is just about to start flying to Southend. There's some quite severe restrictions because the runway is only about 1,600 meters, give or take, and I think it's 30 meters wide. So basically it's like trying to take off or land on a postal stamp. That comes with restrictions on, you know, if we have an engine failure on takeoff, for example, we have to react very, very quickly. And landing is normally either auto brake max or max manual braking, and with that comes things like brake cooling. So brake cooling is going to be an issue on Southend. It's going to have to stay on the ground much longer in order to make sure that the brakes are cool enough to be effective for the next takeoff. So there are quite a lot of restrictions on Southend. So Steven Scholte, pilots get a lot of their training in flight simulator. Is there anything that a simulator cannot simulate realistically? Yeah, G-forces. Right? The simulator cannot simulate G-forces because the simulator